Finally making some much needed repairs to this model. I had initially just built the third story portion of this column, so I think it's starting to sag. So I'm going to stiffen this, repair the roof here that broke off, and reattach the skin to the structure here. So to make these three updates, I'm going to be using tacky glue. I like the quick dry version. I use X-Acto knives and Olfa knives. Both are great. I think it's a little bit faster working with Olfa knives because you could just snap off the edge if it's dull and a new blade is right there. Whereas with the X-Acto knife, you have to twist off the old blade and twist in a new blade. So this piece I'm working on here was a vertical element that I incorporated into the design to tie the three floors together visually. But the way I had made it in this model, the floor above it was starting to sag. So I'm adding a horizontal element to the top of it right below the third story floor, so it has something to rest on. Oh, I think this blade that I'm using here is an X-Acto blade that can snap off like the Olfa blades. So I guess X-Acto makes those too. There was a store in Glendale, California that had all those Olfa blades, the yellow larger one, the silver thin one, and a few in between with different sizes of blades, but that store closed down. And I haven't found a new store that carries all that stuff. Michael's doesn't quite have as many model making items. Oh, I should look on Amazon. I'm sure I could find them there. Swain's had really thin basswood strips that I used to use for window frames, glazing mullions on physical models. And again, I didn't find them at Michael's, and then I found them on Amazon. So yeah, I should definitely look on Amazon for those Olfa blades. As you see, I'm working on a cutting mat, which is essential. You don't want to cut up the table or whatever surface you're working on. I have this large one and I have a smaller one that's like a quarter of the size that I use sometimes, depending on what type of model I'm making. So like 13 seconds ago, I just cut off the tip of the tacky glue because I've had this thing for years and years and some of it is dried up and I just needed a bigger opening to get more glue out of it. But a lot of times people overuse the glue and really underestimate how powerful this tacky glue really is. Model making is mandatory in architecture school, but as a practicing architect in the real world, it's really not because you could simulate it more accurately in digital models. So now I'm going back and cleaning up some of the parts of this thing that I made just a bit too crudely when I first made it about 7 years ago. Now, although it's more advantageous in many ways to do digital models, it's cheaper, faster, and not to mention, you usually have to make it anyway to figure out the project and get the documents done and get it approved. I mean, you don't have to. A lot of residential projects are not that complex, but on some bigger projects with the building information software we have, it would make no sense to do that kind of project without a digital model. AutoCAD is an amazing product which lets you draw things like you would draw by hand, basically, line by line, and you could get an amazing digital drawing set. But even that has 3D modeling capabilities, although it seems limited compared to Rhino and compared to building information modeling products like Revit and ArchiCAD. So part of the roof had snapped off here and I'm repairing that. I'm using those stirrers. I think they are basswood, which is perfect because it matches the type of wood of the rest of this model. Um, I'm not talking about those little thin plastic stirrers. They're the ones that are wood, and I'm pretty sure it's basswood. So I build models at various scales. This one is at a quarter of an inch equals a foot, and I also do much smaller models at 16th of an inch equals a foot. And those smaller ones, I usually do the program blocks. So they'll be color-coded models with different shades of gray for hallways and bedrooms and restrooms. And the living, dining, and kitchen will be in like a beige, and the garage will be in like a dark orange, and the circulation, the staircase or elevators will be in red. I usually make those out of chipboard and spray paint them the colors I need. If you click on one of the residential projects on my website, you'll see what I mean. On some of Frank Gehry's models, you'll see the program blocks cut to their respective sizes and then arranged in the way the schematic design calls for on the site, and then it'll be wrapped in that usually crazy skin that Frank Gehry is known for. So that kind of inspired those smaller models I do, and then the color coding element of it came from wanting to give them a more diagrammatic feel like OMA's work. And it really helps get a better sense of the projects and how they're arranged, especially if you want to look at multiple projects at once and take note of the differences and similarities. I'm noticing I've got my apple cider vinegar in the background there. And once again, I'm realizing the difference in the time it takes to post a piece of personal design work as opposed to one where I'm talking about other people's work, like the last live I just did. I still have that bottle of apple cider vinegar, but it's almost done. And I put very little apple cider vinegar in my water. I actually take the straw I'm using and put it in the ACV, just close the top of it, and however much is in there, that's how much I put in my water. And I use a straw because although apple cider vinegar has a lot of amazing benefits, it seems like it can mess up your teeth a little bit, so it's good to use a straw. I told this to a friend of mine, and she told me she doesn't use a straw because it increases wrinkles or something. Is that true? In a second, I'll tell you why I use the wired headphones. I think I'm about to explain something while I'm making this model. This is the prop this piece up, which was also sagging a little bit. So in the real project, this I-beam here, this column, ties that all together with this beam and this beam. That's the moment frame. I hope the volume wasn't too low. I just said I'm putting this here to prop up that piece because in real life, that moment frame ties the whole thing together. But in my physical model, I didn't build the moment frame all the way through, just where it's actually visible from the exterior. So sometimes if the piece of wood or chipboard or something I'm working with is just slightly too large, instead of cutting it off, I'll just sand it down a little bit like you saw me do with that sandpaper. So I switched to the wired Apple headphones because I used to have AirPods and then I lost one, and then I don't remember if they gave me one, but I think I eventually ended up buying another pair, and I think I lost one again, and also always worrying about it being charged. Ugh, just give me the wired headphones. I don't mind wires. I use wired mice. All my stuff is wired. I like wires. Nothing wrong with them. So putting all the pieces into place, making sure it looks good. Yeah. Some of the pieces still snap off in case I decide to make the interior of it sometime. Thank you so much for watching and joining me for the completion of this model. It's finally done. Up next, I have to finish this one. I started it a couple years ago and life just got in the way, but I want to finish it soon and upload that. If I haven't forgotten, you should see a subscribe button and more content from my channel. It should be either a couple playlists or a couple videos or a playlist in the video. Check it out, subscribe, check out my portfolio on my website, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.